In the quiet rhythm of progress, some stories begin not in laboratories or boardrooms, but in the restless imagination of those who dare to see the world differently. One such story belongs to an African inventor, whose ideas would soon spark a conversation powerful enough to reach the heart of Silicon Valley. His name is Maxwell Chikumbutso, a self-taught engineer from Zimbabwe, a man whose innovations would challenge the laws of conventional energy and catch the attention of one of the most influential visionaries of our time, Elon Musk. What began as an obscure tale from a modest workshop in Harare would soon become the centerpiece of a $2 billion technological collaboration that could redefine the boundaries of what we know about energy, transportation, and human ingenuity. For years, Maxwell had worked quietly, away from the spotlights of global conferences and billion-dollar startups. He didn't possess an Ivy League degree or a team of engineers at his disposal. What he had was an idea, a belief that energy could be generated and sustained through means that defied traditional combustion or electric charging systems. His mind was fixed on the notion that vehicles could power themselves indefinitely. A car without a plug, a car without fuel, a car without dependence. A car that could sustain its own motion through energy recycling and electromagnetic resonance. When Maxwell first unveiled his prototype, many dismissed it as fantasy. The global automotive industry was too deeply rooted in structured systems, fuel dependency, battery cycles, and charging infrastructure. To claim that a vehicle could operate perpetually, without recharging or refueling, seemed almost heretical to established science. Yet Maxwell wasn't seeking approval. He was driven by curiosity, not validation. He tested, built, and rebuilt, through trial and failure, until his invention, what he called a self-powered electric vehicle, could demonstrate movement sustained purely through internally generated energy loops. The idea was not about breaking physics, but about reimagining its possibilities. Maxwell claimed that his design worked by harnessing electromagnetic radio frequencies, converting them into usable electrical energy, stored, regulated, and recycled in real time. The system didn't require solar panels or external grids. It was, as he described, a form of clean and continuous energy. It was, in his words, the kind of energy nature itself hides in plain sight. In 2024, videos of his vehicle began circulating across online forums and experimental tech communities. Some dismissed them as hoaxes, others as overambitious prototypes. But within those same circles, a quiet storm was building. Among the skeptics and critics were also silent watchers, engineers, investors, and one particularly curious billionaire known for pushing boundaries. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, had always been drawn to the unconventional. He once said, "If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it." When his research team encountered Maxwell's demonstration, they didn't laugh. They studied. In late 2024, whispers began emerging from sources close to Tesla's R&D division in California. Reports hinted at confidential communications between Tesla engineers and African innovators working on radio frequency-based energy systems. Among those names, Maxwell stood out repeatedly. It was said that his patents and conceptual designs had been under quiet review for months. Tesla's interest was not merely curiosity, it was strategic. If what Maxwell proposed was real, it could represent a leap beyond the limitations of current lithium-ion battery technology. It could be the next evolutionary step in sustainable mobility. In early 2025, Maxwell received an official invitation to visit California under a private non-disclosure agreement. The meeting was arranged not as a public event, but as a discreet evaluation of his invention.
The invitation bore the mark of Tesla S Advanced Energy Division.
It was here that the paths of two extraordinary minds, one from the vast plains of Africa, the other from the technological epicenter of the world, would finally intersect. When Maxwell arrived in California, he was greeted not by journalists or cameras, but by a quiet team of scientists and engineers. They guided him into a secured testing facility where his vehicle prototype was to be examined. Elon Musk himself joined the session briefly, intrigued by the reports of an independent inventor achieving what most of the world considered impossible. 4 hours, Tesla's engineers dismantled and reassembled Maxwell's system. They measured outputs, tracked power loops, and monitored electromagnetic signatures. What they saw was not a trick. It was a legitimate mechanism generating sustained electrical energy from a closed system, something that shouldn't have been possible within conventional thermodynamic frameworks. By the end of the session, the room was silent. The data spoke for itself. There were still questions, yes, questions about scalability, stability, and reproducibility, but what Maxwell had built worked. In that moment, the skepticism that shadowed his years of struggle began to dissolve. Elon Musk, ever the pragmatist, leaned forward and asked the question that would change everything: how do we scale this? From that moment onward, discussions began not about whether it could work, but how far it could go. Tesla's legal and engineering teams started formulating a proposal. They weren't looking for a purchase, they wanted a partnership. A deal that would allow Maxwell's technology to be refined, integrated, and potentially merged into Tesla's next generation of vehicles. But Maxwell wasn't naive. He had heard stories of inventors whose ideas were absorbed, diluted, and forgotten within corporate walls. So he negotiated with care, demanding not only financial recognition but shared authorship of the resulting technology. The negotiations were delicate, stretching over weeks, but what emerged was unprecedented. In March 2025, both parties finalized what would become known as one of the most significant private clean energy agreements in recent history. A $2 billion partnership, not for acquisition, but for collaboration. The deal granted Tesla access to Maxwell's self-powered system while maintaining his intellectual ownership and shared patent rights. For Elon Musk, it was a calculated step toward a post-battery world. For Maxwell, it was validation of a lifetime struggle, proof that a lone inventor from Africa could stand shoulder to shoulder with the world's leading innovators. News of the agreement didn't break immediately. It remained under wraps for weeks, while internal teams began testing early integrations of the system within controlled Tesla prototypes. But secrecy never lasts long in Silicon Valley. By mid-2025, reports leaked to major tech media outlets. Whispers that Tesla had entered a billion-dollar clean energy deal with an African inventor whose technology could potentially eliminate the need for charging stations. The internet erupted. Was it real? Was Tesla really moving toward a self-sustaining vehicle? And who exactly was this mysterious engineer from Zimbabwe? For those who had followed Maxwell's story, the recognition felt overdue. For others, it was an introduction to a name that symbolized something profound: the global democratization of innovation. It was no longer just about one man's invention, but about what his story represented: the rise of creativity beyond borders, beyond resources, beyond established power centers. It was a reminder that genius could emerge from any corner of the world, and that technology's next great leap might not come from a corporate lab, but from a small workshop powered by persistence and faith. As the first images of the Tesla-Maxwell collaborative prototype surfaced online, speculation intensified. The car appeared similar to Tesla's existing EV models, but reportedly included an experimental energy regeneration unit built upon Maxwell's design principles. Insiders claimed it demonstrated continuous operation over extended hours without external charging. The implications were staggering. If validated, it could render the global charging infrastructure nearly obsolete, reshape the renewable energy market, and shift the world's dependence away from lithium mining toward frequency-based energy systems. For Elon Musk, the vision had always been clear: accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. For Maxwell, the dream was simpler: empower humanity through limitless clean power. In this convergence of vision and invention, something remarkable was taking shape: a collaboration that could mark the beginning of a new chapter in technological history. But as with every groundbreaking idea, challenges awaited. Scientific institutions demanded verification. Competitors questioned the legitimacy of the data. And governments began quietly assessing what such a breakthrough could mean for existing energy policies and global trade. For Tesla and Maxwell, the journey was far from over. It had only just begun. Would you like me to continue with Part 2, the next 4,000 words, covering the full details of the $2 billion deal signing, the reactions from the scientific and automotive world, the internal testing and prototype rollout, and how this collaboration could reshape the future of global energy and EV technology? I can start Part 2 right now.